Are we live?
Broadcast is live.
Yeah,
Cheers
hi
to that.
guys.
It's been a while.
Whoever's watching, it doesn't seem to be super heavy on, on the watching side. But if you're here, post a comment. Let us know you're around.
You mean hundreds of people haven't flooded straight in?
Nope.
What's
Not
going
just
on?
yet.
They're on their way. They're just finishing
Yeah,
off the max.
they're queuing up on internet, from what I've heard.
All right. So, what are we going to be chatting about today, though?
So actually, this was your idea, Ollie, right?
Yeah, I thought we're all racing the Capital Enduro series this year, and we all have different goals. And I think it'd be a good. There's a lot of like interest in the series anyway. It's like for me, it's the second biggest one in Sweden, and I think it would be cool to see some like different perspectives and see how everyone's day goes. And it gives people that aren't racing it a bit of an insight to what the series is like. And it's also really good timing because the organisers have just announced a bunch of new races coming up in the like September October time. Yeah.
And today you did the EWS Qualifier Åre Enduro, so
Oh
we'll
yeah,
get to
yeah.
hear about that later on.
Yes.
So
And
that'll be exciting also.
still on location here in Åre, and right now it is chucking it down with rain. I'm super stoked. It was a really good event. So yeah, and it's only my second time in Åre, so it's been fun.
Cool. The stuff that I've seen on Instagram looked pretty gnarly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hear more about it.
Yeah, let's get to that.
All right. Shall we open with the Capital Enduro series then? First race of the year, Lottingekullen. We all did it. How'd it go?
We did all do it.
First and only race so far, right?
First and only,
Although
yeah.
there's going to be a lot of races this fall or summer. When's the next race? Did they announce that? Or
Yeah, September time.
September 11th, and then we've got September 25th, October 3rd, and then there's two more, 17th and 30th in October.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be good.
I'm going to be missing a couple because I'm on holiday. Sucks.
Yeah, okay.
okay,
But
so
yeah,
that'll
getting
be
back to Nottingham. So I remember last time I think we were live. I'm not sure if it was like afterwards. Maybe we were talking about it off air. But we were discussing your two's like little rivalry. I mean,
did we agree not to talk about that?
There's plenty more races, Dennis.
Should we get it straight out there? Just Dennis, where did you finish?
I'm not sure what position it was, but it was 3 seconds behind Mileta.
That's the bit that
everything I remember about that race.
3 lonely seconds.
Yeah.
I honestly thought not. One of the goals was to beat Dennis, and fine, that checked off. But I rode badly. I know I could ride better. I know I'm.
So are you now trying to not just humiliate me
Yes.
even more, saying you beat me, and then adding on that how badly you rode?
No, there's a lot of things I can clean up. This like straight line speed is one thing, but then actually like checking out of each trail, I managed to mess that up in 4 out of 7 cases. I blew up the track once. So, I mean, each one of these is a few seconds. And I mean, I guess it's the same for everybody. You know, everybody misses a checkout at some point. But it's got to start getting more consistent.
I think with these races, and Nottingham is a prime example of this, the overall time, I think for myself, it's like 6 minutes, around 6 minutes. And like that's such a short amount of time to be racing on. And these mistakes, like today, for example, there was a bunch of like mistakes, but they're small things when you're racing over half an hour that don't really count as a couple of seconds. But a couple of second mistake at Lottinger on a track that's 35, 40 seconds long is a big chunk of time, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's quite difficult. It's so intense because you know this, and you're like, I can't make a mistake. I have to be absolutely flat out because they're so short. It doesn't have to be pretty; it just has to be power, and it's so difficult.
It's hard to kind of control the bike in that situation when your heart rate.
Yeah,
Hey, dude. When your heart rate's like through the roof and you're trying to steer the bike through, let's say that like rock garden ravine thing where, I mean, we all did pretty clean practice runs, and then I don't know about you, Dennis, but both Ollie and I hit the same rock on the exit of that. It's just stress.
Yeah, I fucked up on that ravine thing too. Had to put the foot down and lose all speed.
Yeah,
Is that the ravine that you've got history with?
Yeah, it killed my former goat, my former
Ooh.
Capra, until your French strange dude fixed it, I guess, Ollie. Yeah, so I have history with that damn ravine, crashing it in a couple of times.
Yeah, it's one of those, and it's the cliche, right? But the best thing to do on it is really to like set your speed going into it and not touch the brakes until you get out
Hold
of it,
on,
because
yeah.
then the bike works. But like I was guilty of that because I came into it in a race, and that's exactly what we just talked about. And you're like, the race is so short, I can get point nothing of a second here. So I came into it way too fast, grabbed a massive bit of brake in the middle because I went, oh, I'm gonna get hurt here, and then like fully compressed, but then managed to get a nice exit. But afterwards, you're like, why have you done that? Just chill out, man, and ride it. Like,
There were a few spots on that hill where it was like really important to control your speed before you go into something. Was it our was it S4 or something like that? One stage 4, I think. Let's say two consecutive drops. One of them, you can roll both of them. But if you send the first one, I mean, I actually pretty much stretched my Achilles tendons like a lot. It hurt. It's like 2 meters to flat, and you kind of have to land with your brakes on because you're landing between like a rock, a root, and a tree.
I know the one you mean. Yeah.
And I mean, somewhere in the video that's coming up at some point when I have time to edit it, in practice, I do say like, "Holy shit, this hurt." You need to control your speed for quite a bit of that course.
You need to get on the stretches with Dennis. You two need to get a little video chat to each other.
Ollie, did you send that first thing as a drop, or did you roll it?
Into the right hander.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a roll with a slight front end pickup, but again, it was one of those things that in practice I was like, yeah, that kind of works, just to roll it. And then in the race, I came at it way hotter than that, and like come down and just had to like stick the bike sideways to try and make the corner and just get the speed off. It's just not because you're turning so soon after it. It's not something that you want in a race. Like it's just like in and.
Hampus, we're gonna get to Åre later on in the show. We're talking about the previous races right now. Yeah, I rolled that thing.
Yeah, good choice. There was a couple of spots with some nice lines. There was I think it was one of the later stages, maybe S5, and there was a bit where everyone was kind of going around, but there was like rock that if you could hop over this rock, it really straightened it out, and that was one that really made a difference. Why I keep getting on at you about bunny hopping, man. I don't know, because Reese is watching. He's like, Ollie can only do that because I was getting on at him about it. Like you say, on the Capital Enduro stuff, like these little things make such a difference. And the times are so tight. Like I can't remember exactly what my time was, but I know I was one of 3 people on the same second. Like,
where did you end up in that race?
I was 5th place on that one.
5th place, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Podium. Or did it have a 3-person or 5-person?
3-person.
Damn it.
But yeah, I mean, I'll nail my colours to the mast. Like in the series, it's 5 races, and I feel like I'm pretty consistent at these events. Like I'm going there to finish on the podium, like in the overall. Like that's my goal. Like that, whether or not that happens or not, we'll see. But my last like 5 or 6 races, apart from the one where my frame snapped, I paused on that because of what happened this weekend. But apart from that one, I've been like in the top 6 for like since like 2019 in SBR. So I think my target should be to try and
Podium.
top 3. I think.
All right, so let's kind of go off of that then. Dennis, what are your goals for the series, and then we can do my goals.
To be honest, I'm not sure. You know, as you know, I'm doing this coaching thing this year. I've only made one video about it so far, but I'll be doing more. The next video will actually be coached number 2. Not sure when it will be out though. So I've tried to let go of my goals as I've changed to riding flats. I've changed the finger I'm braking with, and Johan, my coach, is making me change a lot of things in my position and how I ride and stuff. So I'm trying to let go a bit about goals like that.
But just
I
on that,
mean-
sorry, like, that was your first race on flats, am I correct?
That was my first, yeah.
That's not bad.
And
Yeah, and I was kind of consistent with. I mean, Mileta, you and me. Sometimes I beat you, sometimes you beat
Yeah,
me.
we're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to see that I was kind of on par. Although I was riding flats and just changed the finger I was braking with like 1 or 2 weeks before the race.
But that race on flats isn't exactly the easiest thing. There are a lot of these, like, a 40-second section, there's an entire stage, which is basically just like baby head rocks this size that you need to kind of
the
plow through.
longest stage,
Yeah.
that was horrible. I really felt for you on that because I raced there on flats in 2019, and the difference going back there, being used to clips, like unbelievable. But I think it's so good for you to go back riding flats because it's so good for your technique. Like I did like April this year. I think I rode on flats the whole month, and the first week, man, oh my god, I thought I was going to die so many times. But yeah, I digress. But I think it's really good that you're saying that you don't really have a goal because you've always been like top 50, top 50, top 50. And if you can like let go of that and like enjoy the racing, like I'd be really happy for you, I think.
Yeah,
And
I'm trying to
beating
be more. I'm trying to be more about actually coming to a race, thinking it would be fun, not just feel pressure, be scared about stuff, and about beating Mileta, of course.
Never.
Just before we go to Mileta, I think it's key to say, like all the guys that are here for the Capital Enduro stuff, I think we're going to try and do it more immediately after each round. So like in the fall, I've been in Sweden too long. In the autumn, it's going to be like the same week of the race. So if the race is on the Saturday or Sunday, it'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So it's really fresh in everyone's mind. So then it's a bit more relatable, and we'll actually know what tracks we're talking about and what features we're talking about. Whereas now it's maybe a month back.
Yeah. Speaking of goals, honestly, like the past 6 months or so, they've been kind of hectic for me. So kid, work, everything, things are kind of just falling apart. So I haven't really had too much time to ride bikes. I haven't had too much time to train. I put on weight. I'm not eating particularly healthy. So this year is basically building up to next year's McGowan Lash. The idea is to get as much like race practice, like mental practice for races, analyze lines, just learn how to ride fast again, learn how to not be scared, learn how to run 5 psi more than I run in my fork, just so that I can push it harder, so that it doesn't like sink down on steep runs and so on. And the idea is to carry that momentum through winter, with the sole goal to shave about 7 minutes off my 1 hour and 7 minute run at Alpe d'Huez. The pros do it in like just under 40. If I can do it under 60 minutes, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's good going, man.
So, I mean, 7 minutes on an hour and 7 minute run, it's doable, but there's just so many factors that you need to account for. I mean, you need to qualify far enough ahead so that you're not running into people on your run. I mean, just that is both luck and, well, enormous amounts of preparation. So I'm basically using all these races to train how to race. And then this whole rivalry with Dennis. I mean, it's a fun thing. It's just for YouTube.
Yeah,
I honestly
really
don't care where I get. I just
like
want to go faster.
Yeah, you think it's fun now because you're in lead.
I won't think it's fun that time that you do a race and I'm away on holiday, because that won't
Yeah,
be leading.
because that will be a win for me. You can't just skip a race and think you learn points, right? It would be an easy point for me.
Oh yeah, okay. So you're gonna have like your own scoreboard, because we can't do it off like points at the end of the season. Then, at the end of the series, if you're gonna miss some rounds.
The thing is, we're going to be so incredibly close to each other the entire year that there's no way to do it off points, because Dennis is going to have one extra race. And given the fact that we're going to be like, a couple of spots ahead or behind each other,
Sure.
same thing. But I'm missing one of them in September. The idea is to try and get there for the one after that.
Well, they might do it. Usually, most series, it's like they can drop one round, or you can drop one round.
Yeah.
But I think, really, really looking forward to that. And the organization that Roger puts into it is incredible. Like
Oh yeah.
It's it's gonna be good. And the things that he was talking about, like having on it like prizes and medals at every round, and like cash prizes and stuff in the final round, like it's just going from strength to strength. I remember talking to him earlier in the year, and he's like, "No, I'm not really gonna do anything for it this year." And then he comes back, he's like, "Oh, gonna do a full series of 5 rounds, 5 rounds in 10 weeks." Like, oh, cool.
I'm just stoked to race, and I mean, you see that he puts his heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
So, Ollie,
I mean-
what are your Capital
go on.
Enduro Series goal?
Mine.
Yeah.
Mine is to finish in the top 3 overall.
Okay.
As I said before, I've been quite consistent so far in this series. I'm always in and around the top 5. And when you're there, then anything can happen on race day, can't it? Like when you're in that mix, like anything can happen. But my last podium was my only ever podium was
Your last podium.
Yeah,
Yep.
was in
Sounds better.
in that, and since then I've been like 4th, 5th, 6th, 5th, 4th, like always in around there. So I think if I can keep that consistency, then and maybe like at 1 or 2 rounds, just take that like jump up, and then I think it's a nice goal to have. Like, it's I don't know. It's a long way off at the moment, but to take it race by race. But that's definitely a something to aim for,
I just think a goal is really important for something like a series. I mean, whether it be a specific position or a specific range of positions, or just to go and have fun. You got to know why you're doing something, why you're thinking about it, why you're putting your
for sure.
energy and effort into it.
I'm also slightly scarred from 2019 when going into the last stage of the day on the last round of the series, I was third, and And yeah, one of the dudes put like 3 seconds into me on the last stage, and that was it, and I ended up 5th. So yeah,
Shows you how tight it is.
that yet. Yeah. But I think that's us pretty covered on Capital Enduro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
so.
was just thinking that. Let's move on to Åre, which you're
Right.
the only one of us who's doing.
Yeah, well, I am on location in Åre, Sweden's biggest bike park, as I say, or Scandinavia's biggest bike park, I think.
So when did you get there? 2 days ago?
We got here on Sunday night. We drove up Sunday night, stayed like halfway up the hill, and there was this really nice spot, and it looked amazing. We're like, oh great, we've just driven for so long. Open the door, and it's like swarm of midges just straight in the van. You're like, ah! And since then, we have both been bitten a lot. So I quite forgot what Åre is like for midges and van life. It's not a great combination. But yeah, I've literally just finished the race. I messaged the guys like 10 minutes to 8. Like, I'm just trying to get like a Max inside. Max is a like burger place in Sweden. So good. But I was just trying to get that inside my body because I've been on the bike for 8 hours, and yeah, I was absolutely shattered. And two of the guys I ride with, shout out to Philip Fagerberg and Tim Hammer. They are 2nd and 3rd today, and they're actually on the
That
podium
is
right
good
now.
work.
So I really hope they forgive me for this. But Alice, my wife, has gone along to see them. So someone's there representing Martin.
So talk us through your days leading up to the race. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Monday was just like bike park. Like, let's try and get used to these sort of tracks. You know, I feel most at home on like technical, not bike park trails. You know, like standard Sweden stuff. And then you come here and it's just not that. There isn't very much of it at all. So like trying to get the timing in for like the berms and stuff. Hello. Yeah, trying to get the timing in was like took a couple of runs, and oh my god, like when you come somewhere like this, because the first thing we did was going straight to the top, and we did like full run all the way down, and you realise halfway down how stiff we would have to run setups in Stockholm. Like in Stockholm, like everything's so stiff, man, so stiff, and because the tracks are so short, so it doesn't matter. You know, your hands are never going to ache on that. Like 5 minutes in, I was like,
And this is like a 20-minute run.
like, oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
just greatly reduced all the compressions. The rebound went up, the PSI went down, and finally found a really nice balance and started to build up some speed. Tuesday carried on with that, really pushing and just like constantly crushing PRs on Strava. So I was stoked for that. And then Wednesday was practice. So we went up, and first we went and practiced 2 of the trails that we've ridden a lot since we've been here. So we're like, let's do them, see what the tape's like. You know, did those, felt quite good. Got onto the first track that we hadn't really ridden since we've been here, and got halfway down. There's a really like steppy, sharp right-hander. Come down it, I've heard this like clunk. I'm like, oh, I don't really know what that was. Like, had a quick look. It was hella muddy, by the way. Like, the bike was just totally brown. Had a look at it, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. And then like come onto this bridge, and you kind of roll along this wooden bridge. Hopped off the end of it, and like as I landed after hopping, I was like, oh no, that wasn't a good noise. And I snapped my frame above the brake caliper just past the weld, and yeah, and that was the end of the V3. But it seems like a common problem. It's the third one of these I've broke over 2 editions of the bike in the exact same spot. But shout out to Airdrop. I spoke to him today. I'm going to be in Yersa next weekend, and they're posting it out there to some friends. So they're posting out the replacement parts. So I will be back on my bike next week.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and like, yes, it sucks that my frame broke, but it doesn't matter what bike you have. If you ride it long enough, your frame's going to break. Like if you ride bike
Yeah.
long enough, you're going to experience that. But I've like know a lot of people that have different bikes, like bigger companies, and trying to get that service is so difficult. It involves a lot of like sending back and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like AirDrop is just like, no, it's cool. Like we will sort it out. No stress, no cost to you. We'll get it done. You know.
Also, quite a few of the bigger companies prefer to deal with bike shops, and then it kind of goes fast. But I mean, good luck getting a replacement part from Specialized unless you take it to the dealer and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, this is really nice to hear.
But so broke the frame, was halfway up, and for anyone that knows, it was on the top of the Shimano, then dropped into Vestra. Oh, I can't remember the rest of it. Vestra something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it snapped it there. So that's like 500 meters maybe of walking down the mountain, and the bike wouldn't roll because of where it had broken. So it's 500 meters with the bike like on my back in the wet as well. So like
It's horrible.
shoes on that have no grip. I fell over a lot. And I just like my head went to some dark places in that moment. You know,
But was it raining or?
it just finished raining.
Okay, so the
It rained a
mosquitoes
lot.
weren't out yet, at least, or?
No, they're not too bad in the middle of the day. I found,
Okay.
but yeah.
Until
got
you
back
stop,
here.
right?
Yeah,
Until you stop in a dark forest, and
yeah.
then they're there.
And yeah, so we got back to the van, swapped a load of stuff with Alice's bike, and so I wanted to make it feel like mine. So just for then, I swapped the wheels, grips, pedals, and front forks as opposed to the rear fork. And yeah, so that felt pretty good. So I kind of knew where I was at, and went out and rode on that, and did a couple of tracks. But by the point I got back out, it was like 3:00. Lift shut at 4, and I had 2.5 tracks that I hadn't practiced. And I was very, very stressed out trying to get that all done. Got it done in the end, and then got back here. Then I swapped over my drivetrain and did a lot more like setting up tweaks to get it to feel right. Felt pretty good in the end. But like yesterday, I was sitting watching England, and watching that, doing my bike, eating dinner, and getting bit by midges. So it was a very stressful afternoon yesterday. Yeah,
It's important to have your priorities straight, right?
yeah. And like my wife Alice was absolutely incredible. She was so good. She was a very like calming thing. She's like, I can't believe how chilled you are. You've worked so hard these last 6 months. I was like, yes, I am trying not to think about this right now.
Yeah, but that's kind of a good mindset. I mean, whatever the mountain throws at you, something's going to happen sooner or later. I mean, you dare to race. You do what you can to race.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it means working your ass off for a day, then you work your ass off for a day. But then you have a bike to ride.
Yeah, exactly. And then so race day today, got woken up to like 5 a.m. chucking it down with rain. Like, and like, if you guys have ever slept in a van when it's raining, it gets pretty loud. But it's like proper mountain rain, when it's just so thick. And yeah, so that woke us up.
I gotta go get a charger, or else I'll suddenly drop out of this thing. Just keep on talking, but don't say anything important.
All right.
But yeah, so then like it's cool. Like I've got a really good crew of riders that I'm with now, and they've really like pushed my ride into a new level. There was yesterday we couldn't get to the top. The final
lift shut, yeah.
Right up. It was shut for the weather, so we got on that this morning and went and did the top section before coming back to do like to start the race. So in total today it was like 4,500 meters of descending and like nearly 50 kilometers of riding.
That's quite a bit, even if you don't do climbing.
Yeah. Oh, well, we pedaled like 1,500, something like that.
That's very decent. Oh god! I wonder what size Max Burger did you get?
Yeah. I ordered a double, but they only, like we didn't unpack it till we got back in, and it was a single.
Oh, you got screwed. But walk us through the trails. I mean, what did you ride? Was it bike parky stuff? Was it natural stuff? Was it the mark stuff? Or
for those guys that like know the park, stage one was Brecke back in.
Yeah,
Which is an awesome stage to race on. I think that's like such a nice like mixture of like bike park and like sort of rough. It's just an ideal enduro track for me.
That's the red trail pretty much to the left in the park, right?
Left if you're looking from the bottom, yeah. That one. That was a pedal up there to start with, and it was like 25 degrees this morning. It was very hot. But a bit disappointing myself. Like come in and like you pedal in and you drop in and some rocks and another bit of rocks, little chicane thing, and then you come into this like super sharp right-hander. I've come in as I'm coming into it, grab my back brake, it's just come all the way to the bars. You're like, and just like hit this berm and had to like unclip, put my foot down and like foot planted with my other foot still flipped in and like lifted the bike around the corner. And and there was some like choice words with myself. I haven't watched the GoPro back yet.
So your brake just failed, or how'd you get down?
I don't know. I must have had it laying in a funny position and some air got in the top or something. But then after that, it was fine. But yeah, then that trail there's a couple of bits. There's one bit after you cross a fire road where if you look at it, the trail's kind of doing this all the way down, but there's a really nice straight line you can get. It's a bit rough, so you've got to be quite aggressive to hold it. But Hamper showed me it yesterday, and we hit that a couple of times, and it was super nice, like to get that dialed in the race, and then you hit this like long outside, so it's quite a long way around, but you can keep such a good speed around it. You don't have to touch the brakes, and and so that was like a 4-minute track for me, 4 minutes dead on. So I was pretty happy to like get that in, and it's frustrating that the brake went, but I'm talking like 2 seconds maybe lost on a 4-minute track, so it doesn't make that much difference.
That's the thing. I mean, you got more time to lose time, but it's not proportional.
Yeah.
The time you lose in a 4-minute stage is relatively minimal and doesn't change your result as much as the same time on a short stage.
And I think it was more important than like by the time I got to the bottom of the track, like the bottom bit of that track, where like you kind of come out onto the piste a little bit, quite rough, and then you drop back in. Like that bit, I really like felt like full, like taps open, just giving it the beans, and held the line through that stuff, which is scary. There's a bunch of people there, and you like dip in between sort of wet and dry, like in different parts of the forest. So you're charging into it, thinking, well, this bit's dry, so I hope the next bit is dry, because if it's not, there's going to be some shapes thrown to keep this bike going.
I rode that track in the wet last year, actually pretty much rained the entire week. And my takeaway from that is that there's a lot of places where it's like bike parky, packed down, and you kind of don't really want to brake because it's really slick there. It's like where the natural stuff is there, you kind of can afford a little bit of braking, but it's like it will lose traction the second you start braking on the packed down stuff. But maybe it was my tire choice or something, you know.
So on to stage 2, and this is the longest enduro stage I think I've ever ridden. It was both lifts because they're not running the main cable car at the moment. So it was like the M8, I think, and then onto the gondola to the very top. And it was 1,000 meters. What's that in Swedish? Everyone kept saying it today, but I couldn't remember.
1000 meter sleden. or some of that.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Mm.
So we did that into Easy Rider, and then carry on and drop in by Hummel Lifting, like on the downhill track there, on like.
Oh yeah,
that is rowdy.
brutal.
Hitting that at race pace, and there's people there, everyone's cheering, and you're like, oh yeah, and you're thinking, should break a bit more here, but there's people, so I'll give it a load. Got well off track, somehow managed to stay alive, but it was.
Did you slip up on the pipes?
No, I held it on the pipe. It was good.
I was about to die in every single one. I remember those pipes well.
But like the stages themselves are incredible, so good. But I don't know if any other riders like. I know a few other riders felt the same, but I don't want to put it as like a blanket statement. But the taping at the top on 1,000 meters was not good. It was really not like from the lift station, for example. There wasn't even a sign to be like this way. And then like the stage itself had they had like black tape, but it's like black tape on like a wet grey rock that's quite close to black, right? So when you're like racing and you're pushing, and you know what it's like there with like you've got these big like rocks, like smooth rocks, but it's like a blind lip. And there's so many trails like crossing each other. It's quite hard to follow, and I felt like that would have, and it's not just there; it's a few other places over the day. Could have just done with a few more like arrows or something. If you're not going to tape it, like the orange arrows that you can have, and just be like here, and just maybe every 50 meters or so, just to like get that reassurance. Because so many times going down there, I just had this like thing in the back of my head, like, yeah, we're pushing. Are we going the right way? And then you see a bit of tape, and you're like, oh, okay. And then 5 seconds later, you're like back in the same loop.
But that's just an extra kind of thing to stress about, and that puts you off your focus.
Yeah, that's not
Don't
a
get
good
me wrong.
feeling to
It's
have.
nearly a 6 kilometer long track that they've got to tape out. But as it's an EWS qualifier, I perhaps expected a bit more. But that take nothing away from the track itself. Incredible. And then at the bottom, so you ride the downhill track for a bit, then you drop onto some like flow stuff. Then at the bottom, you drop back into Shimano, which is their like main jump flow line in the park. And the bottom 3 minutes was that. So many braking bumps on a 15-minute track. Oh my god!
So what's your take on Shimano?
Well, great bike park track. Probably shouldn't be raced on.
I can agree there. Actually, I wouldn't even say it's a great bike park track. I think there's a lot of jumps, but I think they're incredibly inconsistently built for a jump line.
It's definitely a jump line that you need to like learn.
Yeah.
But funny though, like that wasn't even it. We actually raced the very top section of Shimano on stage 5.
Okay.
Today. The first like few jumps, trying to squash them. Like
they're slightly kicky. Yeah.
Is not my main thing. But trying to scrub these big things was so difficult. And we were stood at the top, and you could just hear people like getting the time wrong, and then just going, like landing to flat afterwards.
What did you talk about?
Okay.
That? Did I miss that? What was the weather like in the race?
The weather was good. It was super sunny, really sunny, really hot.
But the track super greasy, or
sorry,
were the tracks super greasy, or
yeah, it rained really heavy last night, so there was a few patches that were a little bit wet, but like for me, conditions were prime. Like you can't get them better than that, Like rain the day before, but the track's warm enough to like soak it up and not be puddly. It was just like grip everywhere you wanted it. There was grip. So,
awesome.
All right.
So you did actually have a bit of dry in Shimano in the berms, because all the berms in Shimano are reinforced with that like honeycomb concrete stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all of them. It's a few, or maybe it is all of them, and it's not shown through everywhere. But there was only a couple where it was a thing, and you just wanted to like get inside them.
It's a good thing that it was dryish there, because those things in the wet
Yeah,
are
pretty true.
death.
It's but yeah, and then like the bottom of that, there was a few burns where I sat down, like coming in, and you're still tanking, like you are pushing hard, so you're pedaling up to it, and it starts going around, and your back's aching, and your arms are aching, your hands are aching from the braking bump, so you're like going around this berm with your hands like this, like just resting on the bars, and the bike's like going around it, and you're like, and just trying to like grab back on afterwards, just to get the rest, like just those couple of seconds make all the difference. But that wasn't like that stage was like 15 minutes long, and it wasn't the most physical stage of the day. That was stage 3, which is so Manskogen into Gettrappet. Does that make sense?
Skogen till Getrappet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty much what
don't
I said.
remember those.
Maybe New World.
But you know, if you get off the VM8 lift and you go like left up the gravel road, so we went up there 500-600 meters. So then the first bit was like some really nice like alpine single track stuff. Fun, like super fun to ride with your mates, and you can be like popping between lines and stuff. Racing it there, you're just
Is
like,
that the trails that are part of the bike park that goes kind of straight by the fire road, or
yeah,
is it
that's it,
something?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh, I think I remember them now. Yeah.
but like you know, so Victor Olofsson, we're all up there, but he was starting maybe 5 riders in front of me. So I'm stood in the start gate, and you guys know how fit he is. The guy is like, there's not an ounce of fat on him. Like, he is a machine. And I'm stood there watching him just non-stop cranking for like 400 meters until he's out of sight. It's like, great. That's like, he's placed in where I want to be. So guess I got to do that. So like, crank like a madman down all this stuff, and then you come right round the back of the lift house into Manskogen, and then that's like the top bit of that's a bit more pedally, and you finally hit a berm. You're like, oh, right, round these couple more pedaling and into some steep corners. By the time you get to those corners, you have just sprinted for like over a kilometer, like flat out. And one of the first corners that come into it, and like the front does that thing, you know, when you like oversteers, and like, I've seen it back on the GoPro, and it's like fraction of a second, but in your head, everything's like slow motion, and you're like, oh, like waiting for it to get traction again, and then it sort of hooks round. But those corners, like, so nicely built. You can just hit them all the way down, all the way. But the last like minute, by the time you get there, because you're like hitting this corner, crank like full power, like Scandi next corner, and you're into it, and you're like just trying to hold your frame, and slowly, like by the time you got to the last one, my ass must have been about this high off the saddle, because there's nothing left in your body to like hold you out, and you're just sinking into the bike. But then so every corner I come into it, and I'm like sinking, and then you come out and you're like, power, and you get to the next one, it's the same just over and over again. And you're just like, in my head I'm like, you spent all winter doing squats, fucking pedal and stand up. There's no excuses. Like, and I was super surprised. I didn't expect that to be as physical, because I rode it at what I thought was going to be like race pace a couple of days ago, and I checked on Strava, and this was like 40 seconds quicker, and you're like, oh, there's definitely a switch that goes off in your brain that's like, this is a race, pedal.
But there's also nothing in the Stockholm area that compares to anything in Åre. I mean, the stuff you can do here, yeah, it can feel physical, but I mean, the longest track in Stockholm is like 1:20.
Yeah.
There's really not much more you can do.
I mean, it's very, like, I would say most of the stuff that we ride in Stockholm is more technical than the stuff we raced on today. There's a couple of bits on 1,000 meters that's a bit technical on the downhill track, but you're talking about 50-meter sections of the track, and the rest of it is really quite steady. it's just very long. You know?
Like the downhill track, you can actually break it up into sections and just focus on the hard stuff. I mean, there's like sections, the link sections that there's a lot of ruts, like off the if we talk off from the lift, right? So where you joined it, there's a section right out of the lift that's really hard, and then you just riding a couple hundred meters on. I wouldn't really call it a gravel road, but it's a relatively easy trail. And then the next section and so on is after the first road crossing. There's a
So
lot of ruts over there.
Maybe I'm not giving it enough credit. Like when you do when you're trying to race down it, like don't get me wrong, there's plenty
it's
of
a hard track
there where you're like, ooh. But yeah, went okay. They actually cancelled the last stage today because there was fire.
Oh,
so they had to shut the lift.
Oh, that sucks.
And that was like the steepest, gnarliest stage. The one that I was ironically looking forward to the most, because of all the people in the elite class, I was the only one on the 650B bike, and I was on a medium until it snapped, and then I was on a small with a slightly different gear. But so most of the stages,
yes, I can flip this around.
Yeah, and then the stage that was cancelled was like steep into like tight turns. I was like, Dreamboat. Everyone else is on these fucking Titanics, and I've got my little. I don't know any other boats.
Jet ski.
Jet ski. To like hook around the corners. But, yeah, it wasn't to be.
So what happened after stage 3?
So stage 4 was this one where it's Shimano into best. I can never remember what I. Anyway, into that. And but the top section of Shimano is just so scary. Like trying to race a full big bike park jump line, and you're like cranking up these jumps and like just trying to squash it, and the bike's still going up, and you're like, this is going to be a heavy impact. Smack, pedal, same again, just like rinse and repeat.
Well, is there any point trying to race a jump line? Because I mean, you know that there's a set speed for it. I mean, you can squash it, but there's still a set speed for it.
The thing is, like that section, like before we dropped into Vestra, like it was 30, maybe 45 seconds of track. I'm not sure why they had to put that in. That felt like it was just in because it makes the track longer for the sake of making it longer. Like I really feel like they could have just let riders roll down that and then start where you split into Vestra. Because that Vestra is much more like enduro.
And it seems kind of strange having to make a track longer while in Åre. I get that in Stockholm, that we use every part of the train we can, and there's an uphill sudden and all that stuff, but in Åre,
I mean, it's definitely like, I mean, I complain about it, but like enduro is meant to be like the thing that tests like every aspect of mountain biking, right?
Which is,
I guess, like
including jumps.
to do these jumps and stuff, that is a huge aspect of mountain biking. So
it's easy to overshoot them. That because it's a straight line, it's so easy to overshoot those first few jumps, and like even land in the berm at every like where the trail goes 180 on itself. Yeah.
I'm not sure how much I agree that jumps is part of enduro. I mean, because to me, enduro is much more natural than a downhill race. So I really think that bike parky jumps is not really enduro in the spirit of enduro.
I did have a little hope. I totally agree with you. I did have a little hope when I was coming here that it's going to be, because they hinted that they were going to do more stuff like outside of the park, and I was hoping that they were going to find maybe like take some of the walking paths that they've got here and be like, right, walkers, like, sorry, today this is being used for racing, and then use it for like racing for one-off, some stuff like that. Because you've got such a big hill, there's so many like random trails and paths on it, and it could be really like mountain, like out there stuff. And I'm just not sure why there was so much flow in it. But I didn't organise it. It was a huge race, and it was a fun race to be part of. But like, I don't.
It's easier to organize stuff on established trails.
Sure.
Yeah.
You don't even have to tape it.
And that was my worst stage of the day.
And then the fifth stage got cancelled, or?
Yeah, that got cancelled. But so we were waiting down the bottom for 45 minutes to an hour before they cancelled it, and everyone's sort of trying to like stay ready to go and stuff.
Keep warm.
And then
What
the
was
crowd
the
was
fifth?
getting bigger and bigger.
What was
Sorry?
the fifth stage?
Nelson.
Never heard that.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly, pretty steep.
Where is it? Where in the park is it that you're looking at the mountain? Is it like in the middle somewhere?
What's the lift that comes up like crosses with Hummel lifting? Like the main lift, the main chairlift.
V6?
Like
VM6 or whatever it's called? Yeah.
because you got like the main chairlift, and then next to it you've got like the main, like the huge cable car thing that goes all the way to the top. So that main chairlift that goes up there. So you go up that, and then you take like the red flow down a bit to the gravel road. And when you hit the gravel road, you turn right and pedal up a little bit, and it's in there. But it's like the black downhill track. It's that was like super spicy. A lot of people were a bit sort of surprised that was in, because it was quite tech. Oh, not tech, just steep, mate. Real steep. I was stoked for it, man. I was buzzing for it.
Good to have a nice mix as well. I mean, steep it's a part of mountain biking, so you should definitely be in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's a lot more about enduro than bike parking jumps.
Yeah, but I mean, I did. I don't want to like come across as negative, but it did like. I was really disappointed yesterday, but I think that was also venting the broken frame somewhat.
Had to be.
But yeah, overall it was pretty good. And like it's the first time I've ever been to Åre Bike Festival, and it's awesome. And yesterday, me and Alice had a little chat with Greg Miller and Rob Warner, which was super awesome. And
Cool.
yeah, Rob Warner's a super nice guy. That was fun.
Eminar not so much, or?
He had other things to do, so it was just a photo and he had to leave. And then me, Alice, Rob, and myself were chatting for like 5 minutes. So that was cool.
It's like you got to prepare for your modeling career after your mountain biking career. So
yeah.
So where did you end up?
Yeah, spill the beans. Go on.
So I finished 24th today.
Out of?
It's 49 riders.
That's your best ever, right?
Yeah, and like that's the elite class. That's the sort of that's the guys going for EWS points, and there was a few people coming from out of the country to try and get them. And there was some really good riders on show, and I was within just over a minute off the top 20, which sounds like a lot, but over I think my race time was like 33 minutes something. So you're talking like 2 seconds a minute.
That's not too much, yeah.
It's nothing when you look at it like that, But,
awesome, dude.
Thanks. I am absolutely stoked. And with the like
and you
late
did it
on stuff.
on the bike. You just set
On a
up
smaller
the day
bike,
before
you just
and all
set
that
up,
stress and not everything being exactly what you used to ride on and everything. Sounds like an awesome result.
Going from air to coil last minute here, that was quite a change. That was the biggest one. But yeah, thank you. I was so happy. My previous best was 26 last year. And after putting in like so much work in the off season, a lot of riding, and a lot of gym, and just like trying to like have the right mental focus to like then come here and actually really take a step forward, was a really big thing for me. And like I'm coming away from here being like, I'm within touching distance of this like weird goal that I've had to like break the top 20. But not only that, I am a step further ahead than I was last year, and that's a good thing. And there's another race
That's
next
a really
week.
good feeling. Yeah.
So does that mean that you got any EWS points or
No, the points are for the top 20.
top 20? Okay.
Soon?
Yeah, but like one of my buddies, Hampus, he finished like 18th, and he is
Definitely, Kevin.
and Hampus is a great rider. He's multiple top 10 finishes in the national series here, and he finished 18th, which for me really shows like the level that there is here at this race, you know, and to be like in and around that, like I'm super chuffed with it. And it's just
Sweet.
such a relief afterwards, you know. Like,
Who won?
yeah. So, but
Who won the race?
sorry, who won?
Who won the race?
Adam Larson won it, and
Adam Lars.
Tim Hammer was second, and Philip Fagerberg was third. Which anyone who hasn't seen it, my video on Gesunda Bike Park from a month or so ago, they are 3 of the like 5 people that I was, or 6 people that I was riding with that day. And like that day, I was like, damn, these boys have got some serious pace. And then
I watch those videos. They look sped up. Like seriously, they're not, but they look it. It's like, is it humanly possible to ride that fast in certain sections?
Well, like when I'm watching
It's crazy.
my eyes literally can't keep up. Okay. But yeah, so I think that's a large part of why my riding's come on so much. Like I'm riding with these guys that just they see it different, you know. Like they look at a track almost entirely different way than how we would look at it, and trying to like grab a little bit of that is really helping. But, yeah, so next week it's Yevsa for another race. I'm hoping there's a bit less flow in it, but we'll see.
There are rumors that both Itsy Bitsy and Christine are going to be included.
Christine will be rowdy. She has already broken my ribs once. I hope we're not in for a repeat.
You can't actually find flow on that trail. You got to go really fast, and it's one of these things that require you need to shut your brain off if you're ever going to go fast on that trail. It's scary, man.
Riding there with Reese a few years ago, and I was riding with Alice for quite a chunk of the day. And then Reese had been laughing on his own. He's like, "Oh, I've got some really good lines on Christine. I've got some really good pace up there. Just try and like follow my back wheel." I was like, "Yeah, sound man, follow him in." And he's like, "I've got this really good line on this one section." And I was following it and just hear this like tire noise, and he's just like catapulted down it. And just like, oh man, it's a fine line on Christine. That is.
It's not forgiving if you crash. Definitely not.
And then the week after that, we're talking about going to Finland for the Levy Midnight Enduro. And that is an EWS Gold qualifier, which means top 30 get points there. Yeah, so that's we're going to see how we are, how the van is, how van life is, how funds are, and how like the border crossings and stuff are with Corona. But fingers crossed that'll be on. But I think I might owe Alice some like spa treatment days or something after 3 weeks following around doing racing.
So you've mentioned the EWS a whole bunch of times. Any plans for the future?
I don't know. It'd be nice just to like get some points. Like that, I said it in one of my videos on my channel. Like that's been like my goal this year is to like get an EWS point. Looking at the level of the guys there, like it's not something I'm realistically ever going to compete in. But it's nice to like have that carrot. And then if we do go to like we're talking about going to like Europe for a month or something next summer. If we did that, then yeah, then it'd be like, right, let's try and get a couple of EWS 100s in or something, and try and gain, like, again, aiming for points and stuff. But yeah, we'll see. It's not. I don't know. It's just like a carrot, you know.
No, it's good to have goals.
Exactly. And today it would have been really nice to get a point on the board. Who's that? But like, I've got my best result that I've ever had in a national series, and I couldn't be more stoked about it, you know. So it's just an extra little bonus thing that maybe at some point along the way I'll get.
Oh yeah. The thing with that is, like, the more you advance, the more you get faster and better. The more you require of yourself, and it's only natural. I mean, if you can, you know, push this year to get faster, then I mean that just means that you can push the next year to get faster, and so on.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. As much as I like the thing of being like the only guy on 650B, I wouldn't mind like playing bikes against these guys on a level playing field. You know? And myself on a 29er. But because like there was some, like I say, there was some tight corners where it was really handy. But man, on the chunky stuff on the longer stages here, like there were a couple of times I really felt like the steps, you know, on the small bike. You just think these big bikes would have just rolled over that better. But it's so nice to go and like beat a load of them on a small bike here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think you should be really, really happy with that result. I mean, your best result ever on a board bike and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for any size smaller as well.
I really couldn't be happier with it. Really couldn't. It was a very stressful day yesterday, but today was just. I was really happy with my mental state. Like, turned up and was like, "Let's do it. Get up there, do it." And wasn't that nervous. Wasn't overthinking it. Sure, like the last few seconds before dropping into like the first stage, you're a bit like, "Okay, yeah, I've been waiting for these nerves. There they are." But generally, like, I'm super happy with how it's gone.
That's something that we actually want to discuss at some point. Bring that up as a topic.
What?
Like, how do you prepare mentally for a race, and how do you keep your focus all through the race weekend or all through the race day?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody does it differently, so I think it's a good idea to, you know, just put that out there and see what we do.
I do think that side of racing, there's a lot of people like blogging about racing and stuff and talking about it, but I don't think that side's like looked at or spoken about loads. Like the things you go through in your head during a race run, before a race run, like that, and that difference between, at the end of the day, you're like, this is how I feel right now, straight off the end of the race. This is how I feel once I've got results back, you know.
Yeah.
And I know, Dennis, like that's happened to you. I've spoke to you before at the end of the race, and you're like, "Oh, I'm quite happy with how I've ridden." And then I speak to you half an hour later once the results are out, and you're like, "Racing is, I don't want to do it again," you know. But maybe that's a topic for another day, because we just
absolutely.
Yeah, so we just passed the hour for a couple of minutes ago. So I guess maybe that's enough for today.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, Ollie, I guess you made it kind of official that this is sort of a series now, talking about races.
Yeah.
Sure, let's do that.
Next time I might not be like sweaty and in a van.
Or you will.
Yeah, maybe
sweaty in a room.
Listen, sweaty in a van means that you've gone racing, so I'd take that over sitting in an office any day.
Yeah. Maybe one day we could do one like straight after a race,
live on location.
Yeah, on set.
Yeah.
But no, I think especially for the Capital Enduro stuff in Stockholm, there's like 400 or 500 people that are interested in those races, and I think it'd be cool. And I want to do stuff and like look at the results and be like, this dude is flying this year. Like, he has come from here to here, or like, I know that it's this guy's first race, and he's done this. So fair play to him. You know, and so it's not just us three going, my day was good, my day was bad. It's like who's organized it, like how the tracks were, how everyone's day was, what the general feeling was, you know, and then like I don't know how it works, but we can get like the like table up and stuff, and yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
All right, cool. So good talking to you guys.
Yeah, you too, dude. You want to outro, Dennis?
Sorry for rambling on so long about EWS.
Hey, it's good fun. It's good fun.
Just keep on. No, I'm not gonna put pressure on it, but keep on having fun on your race road trip, Ollie.
Thank you. I will. Now I know that we're gonna have 2 bikes again. I'm super happy because I think me and Alex will be able to get some riding in. That was one of the other really disappointing things because we don't ride together very much anymore. But when we do, it's so much fun. And when I was like, oh, we're only gonna have 1 bike, kind of sucks, you know. But yeah, thank you for all the kind words today, guys. Really appreciate it.
Dude, you earned it. That's a really good result.
Thanks.
Cool.
All right.
We're out.
Yeah. All right.
Bye,
See you guys. Bye.